So bad battery noises. Number one, completely nothing. No dings, no clicks, nothing. Now, if you have a G8 or similarly equipped vehicle where it's got like a key release, without power, you can't release that solenoid, so you can't get the key out. So as long as you've got power, the key comes out easy. But if you didn't have power, it would be stuck right here. So it might be one of those things where if you've got a vehicle that has that, which you'll never know unless you have a dead battery and run into this kind of situation, it'd be really good to have a jump box just to have the power to take your key back out. Come on, jump box. Oh yeah. So how to take the battery out of a Pontiac G8 GT. So I've already started on this. This is the first time I've ever done one in a G8. And it's interesting to say the least. So I'm going to take this apart and then we'll walk it back together and talk about it. Alright, so the battery's out. That's all you got to do. Okay, so before we go back together with this, we'll talk real quick about the battery. So it looks like the battery that came out of it is a 94R, which is also like an H17. And basically, you have groups for batteries. And the group size for this one is a 94. The R means that the terminal is reversed. So in a true 94, instead of the positive being here, the positive would be on this side, and the negative would be on that side. So, and then this has a sticker. Looks like it was made 9 of 2009. So this battery lasted 11 years. So probably pretty good battery. Now, the new battery is an AGM battery. So you can see it basically has all the bragging points of AGM on the front of it. So better vibration resistance, flexible mounting, so you can have it upside down on the side. Well, maybe not fully upside down, but you can have it on its side. It's one of those things where this battery had this hose hooked to it. That hose should have been routed with this grommet through that hole, but it wasn't. So I'd almost want to look under there, but I kind of don't. Just in case it's a little scary. Now the new battery also has a hole here and a hole there. So I'll put that in on this battery too, but more than likely it doesn't really need it. So a lot of times those batteries are in place to help with any gas that comes out of the batteries. And with an AGM battery, you really shouldn't have a lot of gas coming out of it. But just in case, we'll throw it on. And then the old battery doesn't really say like how long it's supposed to last as far as like a warranty does. So I don't know what kind of battery or where Autocraft comes from, but it does say that it's got 730 cold cranking amps. This one has 800 cold cranking amps. So, and then the RC is your reserve capacity, so it's got 140. This one's reserve capacity is 140. And then this one's 84-month prorated warranty with 36-month free replacement. So A lot of times, if you're in like the Minnesota, maybe like Dakotas, Iowa, I think in Wisconsin a little bit, Fleet Farm is who has Roadrunner. So a lot of times their batteries will be a little bit cheaper, just because I don't think they're worried about like a whole bunch of people doing warranties on them. Whereas the battery for the truck, the Fleet Farm was all out of those batteries, so I had to go to O'Reilly's. And the O'Reilly one's a little bit more expensive and only has a 2-year free replacement. So a little bit different warranties depending on where you go. And as far as the warranties go, a lot of times you can buy your battery by how you want a warranty to be. So most of the time you'll have a more expensive battery for a longer warranty. For the G8, we'll be throwing in this one. And it'll be just a reversal of the process to take everything apart. So let's get this put in. Just slipping this in, and then you can see you've got the tray here, and then the battery just kind of sits right about there, and you'll have this cover here that'll sit here, sit in the front. You can see there's the bolt holes. That little finger needs to go back behind the plate. That way it helps hold it in place. And then you'll have your two 13mm bolts. That go right there. And there's a little plate that goes across the top. So this one here. This sits back there, and you can sit on top of that stud. And then if I move the light around, you can kind of see where the bolt hole is back there. And then for the stud right there, there's the nut. So all these are 13mm. The three in the front here are pretty easy to get to. The one in the back is a ways in. And you can either try and, maybe work it with a wobbly socket or something like that. Otherwise, I just grabbed a longer extension than the original extension that I started with. And then you just got to tighten those up. Real quick though, I'm going to try and get this hose popped in. I'll tighten those up. And then we can talk about tightening up the terminals themselves. Anytime you do terminals, you always want to be careful with how tight you make it. Because a lot of these are softer metals that are conductive and not so much meant for strength and really, torquing the hell out of them. And if the terminals were dirty, I'd clean them. But these were pretty clean to begin with. So like this terminal, you can see, even though this is loose, that this is still kind of squeezed together. So it's kind of tight going on. So I'm going to take a screwdriver and just open it just ever so slightly. That way it goes all the way down. All right, so the terminals are on tight. And then this right here is just like a fuse block. And it's not something you even really need to mess with. But what made this a lot easier for me was to pull this side panel loose. So I don't think you could have gotten the original battery through here. I think it's more of an access hole. So all you have to do in order to taking that out is there's 2 trim clips. One right there and one right there. And where did I put them? So they're just Christmas tree pins, and they're named that because of like the fins you see on it. It's like the branches on like a pine tree or something. And then you can kind of see the hole semi lines up, but all you do is take the Christmas tree pin. It's hard to do with the phone. Find the hole and push the Christmas tree pin up and in. So you can see now the Christmas tree pin is pushed up, and now that's held in place. And then do the same thing for the other one. So just set it there, push it up. You can hear like those little edges and stuff like that sliding up and in, and now that's in. And they work a lot like a kind of like a porcupine's quill, and then it kind of grabs on and sticks in there. So next, if you look at this side, this rubber should be like tucked in. You're too good for your home. So with this side, just stick your fingers inside to open this up. And you can do the same thing with a pocket screwdriver. Normally I'd be using a pocket screwdriver. Okay, so now it's tucked in and cleaner looking. Of course it's kind of sitting out a little bit here, but it is what it is at the moment. So now that that's in place, the next step that I had done was basically popping this loose. So this is the cover that goes over here. It goes over your latch. And to get this in place, whoopsies, there should be a little blue trim clip that I just might have lost to the nether regions. Oopsie daisy. So little blue trim clip. So if you look at this, you've got a finger on the sides and these little blue trim clips, and then these will pop in and locate in these spots here in the body. So there's nothing that really pops in the front. So when you go to take this panel loose, you want to be sure that you lift it straight up. Now, I was messing with one of these earlier, and they seem like they only go in a certain direction. Kind of a weird trim clip. It's not something I've seen on GM vehicles before. So, but got it lined up. Just push down. All right, that's set. Now the next little piece that went in were like these. So these are what like holds your net, and these go in these holes here and just screw in. Right. And then there's two of these on each side. And then all you pretty much have to do is just throw the tire cover stuff in, a little cover over, you're pretty much good to go. And if you are changing your own batteries, what I would really recommend would be to take your battery out first. That way you're able to turn it in and get your core charge right away. That way you don't have a core charge sitting on a receipt that now you got to take the battery in somewhere in order to get the core charge back. Plus, it lets you compare the new battery to the old battery to make sure size-wise everything looks okay. Okay, so first good sign, everything lights up. Dome lights on. Looks like everything should be good. Got good headlights. Battery's at 12. Alright, that was pretty good. And then if you heard when it fired up, there wasn't a stutter like there was before with like the jump box, because the jump box probably wasn't giving it quite enough juice, but that battery should definitely be giving this plenty of juice. So, looks like the G8's all good to go, back up and running. Just in case you're wondering why I didn't go with an Optima. Optimas are pretty cool, but they're also pretty pricey. And there's a time and a place. And for either the truck or the G8, those batteries, I don't know how long they'll last. And I also don't know how long I'll keep the cars. But with both of them having at least a 2-year warranty, it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind, I guess. So it's one of those things where I'm not overly worried about it. And I am kind of thinking about selling the G8 in about 2 years. So that 3-year free replacement battery should last through that. And in the worst case scenario, I just get a new battery. Otherwise, I tell the owner they got a whole year left if I wind up selling it exactly 2 years from now. We got the G8 up and running. I'll check you guys next time. I have a random trim clip. Oh, that's interesting. This trim clip is loose. Wonder why that one's out. Ha-ha! Okay, so before I knocked you down,